What do you do when you and your partner have a religious disagreement? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, how do I, 36-year-old female, explain to my boyfriend, 37-year-old male, that I won't hook up with him so that he'll be nice? My boyfriend drinks and has emotional issues/temper. I've detached myself and no longer find him attractive or want intimacy because of the drinking, and also just from being blindsided with arguments that result in him overreacting. He's been asking for sex and telling me that if I start having sex, he'll start working on his issues. So I have to hook up with an obese, mean alcoholic, and then I'll be rewarded with respect? Doubt it. Is there any way to articulate why it actually is reasonable that he needs to fix his issues first? Because right now it seems like we both just want the other to fix themselves before we start working on ourselves. But if I start hooking up so he'll start his self-improvement, that means I'm hooking up when I don't want to. When I'm repulsed by someone, I can't bring myself to do that. It doesn't feel right. How do I explain this? I guess my question is, when OP says, I am repulsed by this person, I am no longer attracted to this person, why are you still in close contact with said person? Why are they boyfriend? Is it just like you have a shared living situation and that's kind of just like it's convenient? I think OP should just tell them the truth and honestly kind of go on their way when they can. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy tricky relationship topics, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, I, 33-year-old male, am quickly getting tired of my girlfriend, 31-year-old female, controlling behavior. What's the best way to handle this? Throughout my life, I found a lot of enjoyment from seeing major comedians or bands that I love, and have been to probably 20 plus concerts and shows over the years. In previous relationships, the people I'm with would offer to drive me to a concert and pick me up after, always excited for me to get to go, or they'd come with me. However, in this relationship, which has had controlling and jealousy issues, I've stopped doing this and have missed so many great concerts I'd have loved to have seen. When I ask why, she says, well, I don't want you going there by yourself, all drunk with God knows how many drunk women around. It would just make me uncomfortable, and I think anyone who loves someone should care about that and not go. Or she'll say she would go, except she'll make no attempt to go. And then when she can't go with me, she'll object to me going on my own. I'll ask, so am I just never going to go to a concert again? She'll say something along the lines of, I think we can get to a place someday where that's okay, but I don't think we're there yet. Fast forward to this upcoming summer, there's an outdoor comedy show I want to go to, and also a massive metal concert at a stadium. I sent her the advertisement for the comedy show, and it's one of our favorite comedians that we've watched their specials on Netflix, and her first reaction is that she wouldn't want to go. It's probably some big drunk fest and we can maybe talk about it another time. At this point, I'm almost ready to just buy the tickets and allow my relationship to blow up when it comes time to go. I can't be happy like this forever. What would you advise in this scenario? I mean, I would say, honestly, you just need to break through this boundary because I feel like it's a very unreasonable and controlling one. I think OP has to say to them, listen, I am missing out on life experiences. This isn't about me wanting to go find some drunk woman to shag up with at a concert. If you don't want to go with me and you're not comfortable with the idea of me going alone to a music or comedy concert, well then either it's something you have to learn to live with, or things may be over. Akath0110 said, you buy the tickets and go. She can have her feelings about that. Her feelings are not your responsibility to solve. Yes, sometimes relationships need compromise and a healthy recognition and validation of each other's feelings and needs to a reasonable extent. This is not reasonable. This is her projecting her unreasonable anxieties and insecurities onto you in ways that hurt your well-being and ultimately your relationship with her. In a healthy partnership, it is normal for people to have their own hobbies and interests. It is encouraged to have activities and goals outside of the immediate partnership. Those hobbies and pursuits strengthen your bond and desire for each other, not destroy it. Your girlfriend's unreasonable feelings and need to control is a problem she needs to address herself, perhaps through therapy. You cannot fix, control, or solve this without drowning yourself. In fact, you capitulating like this may be enabling her and further cementing a toxic dynamic that will be hard to salvage, if it even can be now. Go to the shows. This next story is, my best friend and I had sex. I, 19-year-old male, and my best friend, 19-year-old female, met when I was 16 and she was 17, and she just asked me to hang out one day. Ever since, we've been amazing friends, hanging out constantly, sharing everything about ourselves, and being very open. I've been friends with her through one boyfriend, about a year long, maybe 5 months after we met. After that, she talked about him so much, and I tried my best to comfort her. Not out of any weird ulterior motives, but I really do care deeply about her. She hooked up with one guy about 3 months ago and told me about it and how much she regretted it. Again, I tried to talk her through that and not judge her at all, though this did hurt me a bit, as for maybe the last 8 months I've developed a huge crush on her. This week, we went to an Airbnb, and after getting there late-ish in the night, about 9 p.m., we started drinking. We did everything we normally do when we drink, and though she's always been touchy when she drinks, it seemed to be a bit more that night. Eventually, we made our way to the bedroom, where she fell asleep on top of me. While a bit weird, I'm horrible at taking hints, and I go to her house to sleep in her bed all the time, so I didn't think too deeply about it. After about 30 minutes, she wakes up and we cuddled, and then she began kissing me, leading into hooking up. Afterwards, we talked about it for like an hour, just laying there, holding each other. It wasn't awkward at all, and I was a virgin, so she was very communicative, and we talked through it. The next day waking up, we stayed in bed until about 4 p.m., crazy I know, and talked through it, saying we don't regret it and we love each other. After getting back to the Airbnb that night, I didn't think it would happen again, though we had drank again. I was close to falling asleep when we start talking. Then after maybe 2 minutes, she says she wants me to kiss her. We hook up again and talk afterwards too. The next day we talked through everything and it was not awkward at all. I couldn't believe how normal it felt to talk about it and go about our day as planned. We just got back home today and haven't talked about it since this morning. Overall, I'm scared for the future. This girl knows everything about me and we have been extremely close for years. We get along so well. I really do value our friendship more than she knows, and I'm scared how this will change it. I'm definitely not opposed to seeing where it goes, but how do I approach this situation? I'm scared to ruin the friendship, but I'm also scared to not take an opportunity to have something great, I guess. Not sure how to word this. Basically asking, what do I do now? I mean, from what I'm reading and what I'm hearing here, I would say don't fumble a good thing. You've been extremely close with her for a very long time. You both are friendly enough and know each other well enough to the point where you're actually saying that you love each other. Admittedly, could this go bad and blow up and outright ruin the friendship? Sure, but I've heard a number of stories that started kind of similar to this and ended with, and that's how I met your mother. Our next story is male 28, wife, female 27, got a matching tattoo with a married couple 2 years ago, and it's bothering me. I've been with my now wife for 6.5 years, married for about 3 months. I love everything about her and have literally no complaints with our relationship. She has a bunch of tattoos, around 20, which I've always said I like. The particular tattoo I'm talking about she got about 2, maybe 2.5 years ago, and it's always kind of bothered me, but I've never really brought it up to her, and I'm debating if it's even worth doing at this point. My wife got this tattoo while visiting with her 2 married friends in another state. I was unable to go on the trip because I just started a new job and couldn't get time off. I've hung out with the couple only a few times before they moved away to another state, so I don't know them super well, but I was never really a fan of the guy. He came off as very arrogant and is kind of disrespectful to his wife. Also, come to find out after hanging out with them multiple times, the guy is my wife's previous ex-boyfriend's cousin. She broke up with him about 6 months before meeting me. My wife and her ex used to hang out a lot together with this couple. Not really a big deal. She never interacts with her ex, and her ex never hangs around with this guy when my wife is there. I did find it annoying that she waited multiple years in our relationship to tell me this though. Again, not the end of the world, but I do find it annoying. So my wife is on this trip to visit them and texts me a picture of the 3 of them with matching tattoos. They all got the same thing in different places. Hers is on her hip and only visible in underwear or bikini. I'd been texting her all day and we'd been talking about what they've been up to, and there wasn't ever mention of getting tattoos until they already had them. I don't have any tattoos myself, but I feel like that's worth a mention that you were planning on getting matching tattoos with people. but maybe I'm wrong. At this point, I just thought it was kind of weird that she didn't tell me, and I also personally found it kind of strange to have a tattoo with another married couple. I guess I don't know if there's anything really wrong with it morally, but it's definitely not something I would do. To me, it's weird to match with a couple like that, but people have different relationships. Fast forward another year, and she's on another trip to visit the same couple. Once again, I just started paramedic school, and the schedule is extremely demanding, and there's no way to take time off for vacation, so she goes alone. When she comes back, we're talking about the trip, and she mentions how the guy was talking a bunch of mean crap about me one night while they were all drinking. I don't know him very well, and he doesn't know me very well, but he obviously had a big problem with me. They were in a group of people with some other friends, and he was saying I'm a jerk and I don't treat her right and I'm not the right guy for her. There was more that he said, but this convo with my wife was over a year ago and I don't remember all the details. My wife said she told him he's wrong, but they still continued to hang out in the group the rest of the night. I didn't really know what to say about it at the time and figured he lives in a different state, he's shown that he's a jerk, and I won't have to see him again, so just forget about it. A couple weeks ago, the couple was back in town for a funeral for the wife's father, so I went with my wife to support her because she's a nice person. I was forced to hang out with this couple, and my wife and everyone acted like he never said these things about me. I was cordial because it was a funeral and I didn't want to cause a scene, but I was pretty upset on the inside. Again, for some reason, I didn't bring it up to my wife that night that I was upset. Everyone went out to the bar after and she was pretty drunk, so I didn't think it was the best time to bring it up. But in hindsight, I was a bit distant from my wife the rest of the night and she picked up on it. Now, whenever I see her tattoo, it really bothers me that she has a permanent matching art piece on her body with another man that is totally okay with openly talking crap about me to her. Am I overreacting to this? And is it even worth bringing up to my wife at this point, now that it's been years since getting the tattoo? So let's be real here, it's not actually the tattoo was never really the problem, it's just the symbolism of that tattoo. It's the guy, right? I don't really know what it's going to do bringing it up, but I do think it's maybe better to mention it than kind of bottle it up for the rest of your life. But I think you do have to be truthful and identify what exactly is bothering you about that, which is it was never about the actual tattoo, it's just how you feel about the guy that has a matching one. Doomed User said, I gotta be honest, this story doesn't seem to be about the tattoo. On multiple occasions just in this post, you say something made you upset, or you had questions and said nothing. You had a few excuses. We were drunk, but also had no reason at all. For some reason, you've been pushing down all of this stuff for literally years, not talking to your wife at all about it, and now it's bubbling over. I'm not going to get into who is right or wrong about the tattoo, but I can say for sure that I think your approach to communicating with your wife is wrong. You didn't ask your wife what the significance of the shared tattoo was, or why she didn't stand up for you when this guy was bad-mouthing you. I also think it's a bit strange that your wife even shared that with you in the first place. What was the goal there? You weren't there to defend yourself, and there's no way you're going to have a positive reaction to it or to him. So what was she going for with telling you that? All totally valid questions that you never asked because you didn't want to rock the boat? Well, you're seeing where it gets you over a long period of time. It breeds resentment and erodes trust. You haven't communicated and you have things to say. I'm not saying you have to start a fight, but you can't secretly despise a tattoo your wife has and not tell her about it, and then get upset that she's not acknowledging your feelings. She doesn't know how you feel about this stuff. You haven't told her. I would take a step back from focusing on your disapproval of the tattoo and recognize that you have to improve your communication. Do you have a right to be upset about the tattoo? I don't know, but your wife has no idea how you feel about it, and is it really about the tattoo? Or is it about your trust in your wife? Our next story is this embarrassing behavior in public? I, 22-year-old female, have been with my boyfriend, 25-year-old male, for 7 years. This is the only relationship I've been in, and I greatly lacked an example of a good relationship growing up. Today we went to various stores. I paid at the first few, around $200, and then we went to the last store. I was just buying something for my hair, so we were standing in line and I was intending to pay for it. Then I wanted to check for something else at the store, so I handed him the item to go look. He said, "Ugh, I have to pay for this?" half under his breath, but still perfectly audible. I asked, "What?" just to make sure I heard him right, and then he repeated himself. I said, "I paid at the last 2 stores and got you a $20 shirt. You can pay for $5 hair clips?" In an assertive and somewhat annoyed tone, to which he responded, "Stop embarrassing yourself." There were people both in front and behind us in line. I left to go look for the other item. We discussed after we were back in the car, and he said he doesn't think I should act like that in public. Maybe I am too comfortable or uncaring about the thoughts of those around me, but I thought what I said was fine to say in front of other shoppers and a reasonable response to what he said. So I guess I'm left wondering, is this weird behavior in public? I know he is sensitive to others' thoughts of him. For example, we went to a concert and he said he wouldn't dance because he felt like the strangers next to him would judge him because they were not dancing. A grand majority of people were dancing. For that reason, I would like to hear others' perspectives. Wholeheartedly don't think that's a very weird thing to say. I mean, to be honest, if I'm standing in the cashier's line and that kind of thing is going on, I almost kind of appreciate the free entertainment while I'm waiting to get my items scanned. I just don't think anything OP did here was outrageous, and I also don't think their expectations were outrageous. Our next story is, my dad, 53-year-old male, shared his concerns to me, 25-year-old female, about my boyfriend, 32-year-old male. Not sure if we should talk this out or how. I've been with my boyfriend for a year and a half. I was widowed in my very early 20s, and my whole family were heavily traumatized as we tried to navigate my grief. But it connected us, and I'm very close with both of my parents now. They're also my neighbors. My boyfriend never had an adult relationship before me. He said he focused on finishing school and establishing himself in a career before looking, which I found admirable. However, he lived with his extremely religious parents until about a half a year ago, and has put me through a lot of his growing pains. Over time, this has manifested as me slightly detaching because I can only take so much getting yelled at over random things and unnecessary boundary pushing. I find myself having to convince him instead of him immediately trying to understand when I say he's hurt my feelings more often than not, but we don't fight very much and I do feel he gets better every time. Today, my dad sat me down and had a shocking talk with me. He told me financially I would never have to work again if I didn't want to when I invested properly. I became very wealthy from the way my husband died, and because I'm already chronically ill, I should have someone who accepts that later in life I may need extra help. I own my home and vehicle, plus a ton of land, and my parents are in the same boat. He said he was of course leaving their property to me, and my grandpa had said that he'd also put me as his heir. He went on to tell me that he's frustrated because he feels I'm not as happy as I should be, and he'd been debating on how to say it for a long time. He went on to say that the way I speak about my boyfriend is concerning, and he feels boyfriend is always going to prioritize his parents. He says boyfriend has thrown up some red flags in multiple conversations. And despite not being religious, Dad gets the vibe that he still has a lot of misogynistic feelings towards women's place in the world. I could see it too, as boyfriend's mom works full-time and does 100% of cleaning and chores. When I'm over, his dad always says something mean to her and I get uncomfortable. Plus, his dad dislikes me over being a widow, and my boyfriend has never defended me on this. He ended it to say that he knows that I'm an adult and he trusts whatever decision I make, but he sees no spark between us, and it makes him sad that I'm not with someone who makes me shine the way my late husband did. He also said he's concerned that when I inherit all of these properties, my boyfriend will not respect my choices and try to push me toward what benefits him. Or even worse, he asked if I felt my boyfriend would 100% stick by my side when I'm older, and how he would navigate my health when he has previously not shown in a huge emergency because it was Father's Day and he couldn't let his dad down. I didn't know what to say, and he said I didn't have to give him any answer at all. He just wanted to chat with me and throw out his perspective. I appreciate it, and I think he made a lot of fair points. But I have no idea how to navigate this conversation with my boyfriend now. Maybe we don't even need to have one and I need to continue observing. If we talk about it, how would I word this to be less negative? I think OP should be really appreciative of their father in this situation, because I wholeheartedly think he is 100% right, and also not coming out of any accusatory or negative way, but just trying to point out things that maybe you're a little too willing to look past. Hotspur Jr. said, "So the thing is, it really sounds like your dad has your boyfriend pegged. You mentioned multiple meaningful red flags about your boyfriend, and then mentioned that you agree with multiple of your dad's criticisms. So to me, the real question is, what's your goal here? I'm going to be honest, I think you're being somewhat naive if you think you can solve these problems with your boyfriend by talking to him about them. Like, you get yelled at over random things and you're already detaching, even if your post ended after your second paragraph. I think there would be major reasons to maybe decide that this relationship has run its course and it's time to move on. That your dad is having this conversation with you is very telling, and your reaction, honestly, how do I discuss this in a polite way? Is, well, I don't know, it feels naive. I think what your dad is saying, and as someone closer to your dad's age than yours, I agree with this, is that you have to ask hard questions about if this relationship is worth trying to save. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that you have to date someone for who they are, not for who you hope they can become, or who you occasionally get glimpses of. Yes, your boyfriend may learn some and change some, but fundamentally, it seems really unlikely that he's going to become a drastically different person when it comes to stuff like the misogyny he learned from his parents. Your dad is telling you that he doesn't think this guy is going to change, and your response sounds a lot to me like, okay, I agree with my dad a lot, but how do I get my boyfriend to change? Our next story is, my boyfriend, 30-year-old male, won't pick me up, 26-year-old female, from the airport when visiting his hometown for the first time. I'm visiting my boyfriend and his family next week at his hometown for the first time. I'm feeling really upset because he's just told me that because he can't get a car, he's not picking me up from the airport and is instead asking me to take a train. I don't care about the car at all. What upsets me is the fact that he's not willing to make the gesture of taking the train to the airport and meeting me there as a nice or romantic gesture. I've spoken to him about how it upsets me when there's a lack of initiative or romance from his side, and I feel like this is a clear-cut example of that. I don't want to seem upset or mad in front of him, but I also can't hide my disappointment. If he was visiting my hometown for the first time, of course I'd pick him up from the airport. No matter how long or annoying the journey is, he would only have to take the train for an hour to pick me up, which he isn't willing to do. How best to handle this situation? So, unfortunately, like many other stories that pop up here, the problem is communication. When OP says, I don't want to come across as mean or upset, that's the problem. They're censoring themselves from having a communication about something that is bothering them. OP's coming here and posting saying, there's something in my relationship that is specifically bothering me, but I don't want to bring it up to my boyfriend because I don't want to upset them or cause any kind of argument. How do I solve this and have him address my feelings without telling him directly what those feelings and situations are? I mean, it's just not gonna work, right? If it's a deal breaker or it upsets you that they're not willing to go out of their way to pick you up, even if it means they gotta take a train, you need to be able to communicate that, or else not only are you feeling like he's letting you down in this relationship, you're letting him down in this relationship by not being transparent. Our next story is, am I, 25-year-old female, overreacting in this situation with my husband, 28-year-old male? Hi all, I, 25-year-old female, am married to my husband, 28-year-old male. We've been married for a year and a half, together for 5.5 years. Generally, things are pretty good. I'm decently happy and he says that he is too. The issue is that when he gets mad, he can get mean. He won't actually fully apologize, it's more of a half-butt thing. I'll give an example. And he doesn't often do it, but when he does, it obviously hurts. I'm feeling some resentment and I don't know how to work past it. I've also set the boundary that if he does it again, that I'm done and out. Although I'm not sure if I'm being reasonable about that or not. My therapist says I've been enabling his behavior by staying. I didn't see it as enabling because I'd speak up in the moment and tell him that he couldn't speak to me like that, and then we would be good for 6 to 12 months until he did it again. The most recent one was that I made a mistake to cover his computer screens with some clothes because I couldn't sleep. I covered them instead of turning the computer off because he'd previously been upset with me turning his PC off in the middle of the night due to it needing to be on for some download or something. I will admit that there were other options and I could have handled it differently. I explained after the fact why I did it, that I was sorry and that next time I'd sleep in the other bedroom or turn his screens off. I promised it wouldn't happen again. While I was at work, I had received these messages, hence my apology to him. Can you never ever freaking put crap all over my electronics ever again unless you're prepared to pay $600 for just the screens? Just send a message saying please put these things away instead of using actually negative brain rot logic. I found some extra nails, I'm gonna leave them under your tires in the morning. Sound good? Long story short, I told him I wouldn't be able to stick around unless he figured out how to communicate with me respectfully and that he needed to set up counseling for himself or both of us together. He has his first counseling appointment tomorrow, but I'm feeling very guarded. He had apologized for the way he came off, but not for what he actually said or how he handled the situation. How do I move forward? Is it fair to leave if he does something similar or puts me down again? I'm just not feeling sure about anything right now. Is it fair enough for them to be upset or have an issue with the way you handled things? Sure, but 100% obviously this guy is lashing out very unhealthily, and not only is obviously that stress not good for him, it's clearly not good for OP and it's wearing OP down. If they kept doing this, I'm surprised OP even has to ask whether or not it's fair if they leave. I hope the counseling actually opens their eyes to the way they've been acting and helps them work through that to realize just how nasty they've been. Like, I just worry that there's been like a lot of bottled up resentment or something and he's lashing out and getting too comfortable doing so too. Our next story is my wife, female 27, cheating on me, male 28? She never usually shaves her private area, but before she's going to stay with her mom for 2 to 3 days, she shaves them. This has happened 2 times in the past month. Why would she shave it before she goes to her mom's house and never really do it any other time when she's with me? We're married for over a year now, don't have kids yet. In the first year, I've never checked her phone, but now I'm being paranoid as this has happened 2 times in the past 2 months. I don't get why she would shave right before she leaves my house for 2 to 3 days and never really do it when we're together, which is 27 days a month. Many people in the comments are asking if she goes swimming, so the answer to that is no. And many people in the comments are saying talk to her. It's not that easy. What if she's completely innocent? And if she feels I have trust issues? This relationship is definitely going to suffer in the long run. I want to do background research first. I might bring up this topic to her in the next 2 to 3 days after I figured some things out. Update: as many people advised to ask her directly, I specifically asked, hey, what's up with the shaving right before you leave my house? Are you shy of the salon girl who does your wax? She gave me 4 responses. 1, it was just a coincidence. 2, the salon girls end up finding their pube hairs and ask them to get them waxed, but apparently she doesn't like getting them waxed. 3rd, I did it for you. 4th, I like to feel clean when I'm getting full body waxed, so I get it shaved as well. I also asked if she had a gyno appointment, to which she said no. There seems to be a change in her attitude as well. She used to read my face all the time and find out something was wrong. Now, when something is actually wrong, me being paranoid, she's not able to read my face. As much as I want to be normal, it's just not possible right now. I just see myself in OP situation and I see my partner doing that kind of grooming right before leaving for several days. I'd be kind of confused as to why it's going on too. I guess the only thing is, it's not like they're trying to hide it, right? Honestly, maybe this is the kind of thing that you like last second pop up and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna come with you to your mom's. How's that sound? I mean, you want to try to do some innocent background check, you'd at least be able to tell if she's acting weird or trying to be evasive or try to shut it down. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another really tricky relationship topic, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.